President Vladimir Putin and his deputies were forced to hoard whatever refined fuel they could still produce, ensuring their own citizens and military wouldn't face crippling inflation and shortages. Russia's export ban is a desperate defensive maneuver to protect its internal economy from the devastation of the drone strikes. India's refining shield is formidable, but it has a glaring vulnerability. Those domestic refineries are useless if the raw crude oil cannot physically reach Indian shores. That supply line is currently threatened by escalating military tensions in the Strait of Hormuz. Iran claims complete naval control over the strategic waterway, while the U.S. Navy stands on high alert to escort commercial tankers through the hostile corridor. Roughly 2.5 million barrels of India's daily crude imports must pass through this exact geographical choke point. One stray missile or drone strike could instantly sever New Delhi's primary supply line. This diagram shows India's aggressive countermeasure. The government slapped a special additional excise duty on its own refineries, placing a heavy tax on any diesel and jet fuel attempting to leave the country. By heavily penalizing foreign sales, India forces its refineries to hoard their output domestically. They are deliberately locking down a 60-day strategic buffer of fuel to ensure the country survives any sudden chaos in the Middle East. We are watching a rapid chain reaction. A drone strike in Russia forces an export ban, and a naval standoff in the Middle East forces an export tax in India. The ultimate victims of these isolated domestic policies are the nations that lack massive refining hubs of their own. Without domestic processing, they are left entirely exposed to a sudden vacuum of usable fuel. Even if the global supply of unrefined crude oil remains perfectly stable, a shrinking supply of refined downstream fuel causes the acquisition cost to skyrocket across the board. Ultimately, the true cost of this twin shock crisis lands on the average global consumer. When producing nations engage in protectionist hoarding, the price at the local pump surges. The old rules of global energy security are dead. The deeply interconnected, globalized free market for fuel is rapidly fracturing into fortified protectionist silos. In a global economy destabilized by simultaneous, overlapping military conflicts, simply having the diplomatic relationships to buy unrefined crude oil is no longer enough to guarantee a nation's survival. The nations that will dominate the next decade's energy landscape are those with the independent industrial capacity to process their own fuel. True geopolitical sovereignty now requires two distinct things: the industrial infrastructure to refine your own energy and the ruthless protectionist policies to keep it safely at home.